Hey guys, welcome to Sports Analysis. Today I'm going to talk about my top 5 teams to make it out of the East. Stay tuned to figure out which ones I want to pick. Alright, in at number 5, I've got the Indiana Pacers. The reason for me putting them here is obviously because of that man, Victor Oladipo. Biggest standout I see of last year, most improved, and a real game changer. Definitely improvement to the Paul George that they had. I still think Paul George is a little bit better than Victor Oladipo, but the Paul George that Indiana had is after the injury is not the same as Victor Oladipo. With the addition of Tyreke Evans and Miles Turner, I believe the Indiana Pacers have a really good shot of making it out of the East. They took the Cavs last year to 7, and it really took a strong performance from the to really beat them. Next on the list, I've got the Milwaukee Bucks. And the Greek freak out here eating that yogurt, getting big. He's put on 83 pounds since he came into the league. He's really a hard worker, a real grinder. The Milwaukee Bucks really don't have too much outside of him, but really you don't need too much more to make it through the East. There's not too many teams. That's the reason for the top 5. After 5, it really gets a little murky. Through the season, only being through about 20 games right now to know who the last 3 teams that are even going to make it in the playoffs are from the East. But Milwaukee Bucks are a pretty safe bet with Giannis and Chris Middleton, Eric Bledsoe. And just the organization that they seem really hungry. They're coming out playing every game as hard as they can every night. So I'd like to see how they go in this year's playoffs. Coming in at number 3, we have the Boston Celtics. Now, a lot of people say that the Boston Celtics are a sure win with all the firepower that they've had, but we've seen a lot of struggles throughout the year. I feel like they had a real an outspoken season last year. And now everyone knows what to expect. They know what the players are coming. They know how to handle Kyrie. Jason Tatum's going through his growing pains of his sophomore season, so he's going to have a little bit of an issue. Also playing with Gordon Hayward, who they did not have at all last season. That's going to make it a little bit difficult to work him in. Obviously, they're still going to make it through. They still have enough firepower to get to the playoffs. And through pretty much probably the first round, I'm going to say that would be really embarrassing if they lost first round with the contract that they have and the personnel, the coaching. People were calling for Bryce Stevens to have Coach of the Year last year, and for him to come out next year and then lose in the first round would kind of be a little disrespectful to him. Honestly, because another team that I wanted to put on this list for number 5 could have been the Detroit Pistons. I just don't think that they will be in the top 5. I do think they'll probably make the playoffs, but it's a little hard to judge right now considering it's the Detroit Pistons and they have Andre Drummond and Blake Griffin. One of them gets hurt, they go down, then they might miss the playoffs. Coming in at number 2, we've got the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, this is obviously stating they have Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, and Jimmy Butler. And don't forget about Markelle Fultz. I mean, he's a great asset to that team, am I right? Probably going to get a statue by the time he retires. I would say the best point guard in 76ers history. Psych, now that's obviously going to go to that man AI. But for this year's 76ers team, Jimmy Butler really does make a difference for the squad. He can shoot, he can rebound, he really leads the team, has a little bit of age on him. Not saying he's old, but he's a little bit more experienced than Joel and Ben in leading and also shooting the ball. Obviously, Jimmy Buckets out here going to be making buckets from the passes from the 2 superstars on the team. Joel Embiid also being an MVP caliber candidate this year really puts them ahead of the Celtics. Helps them boost their chances of winning, but there's obviously still one more team in the way. So to top off number 1, we have the Toronto Raptors, led by the Claw Kawhi Leonard. Now, this man is probably going to run the East for the next few years until Giannis really breaks out, or Ben Simmons really breaks out, or Joel Embiid kind of just takes over. Kawhi, one of the most elite defenders in the league, pretty steady three-point shot. Even though Greg Popovich said he can't lead, I still think he's a pretty steady leader. Alongside, chokes a lot, Kyle Lowry. I know he chokes a lot in the playoffs, but he'll still be a good enough point guard to make it through the East and probably make it through to the championship to face the Warriors. And ultimately there, to me, it's a little bit of a toss-up. If Stephen Curry doesn't really get to play the game, if Draymond goes out, things. If the Warriors really get messed up at all, I see the Raptors being able to win and might be able to steal the finals away, which would be a really exciting thing to see. Alright guys, and there's my top 5 teams in the East that'll probably make it out of the finals and into the championship. Now, all of that is subject to change, obviously through the course of the season. Certain teams might rise up or fall down. A lot of the teams are one injury away from not even being in the playoffs. But anyway, like and subscribe. Tell your friends if you liked the video.
Morty.